So for network effect, right? I usually think about like eBay or Alibaba, but those kind of network seems like the Western digital network you talk about is a radio network, not something like Facebook. So because they only sell to the buyer, it's not like buyer sells stuff to another buyer and all this stuff.
Oh, okay, that's a really interesting way to think about it. No, okay, I see what you're saying. You're right, it is just seller to buyer, but the more buyers who are there, the more sellers are going to want to be on the platform, right? It's not as if it's just selling one good. Like let's imagine that eBay could only sell baseball cards. I don't know, whatever. Then you could have someone say, okay, I can pick that market off. I could invent a better platform for selling baseball cards. Whereas if you know that if whatever I want, I'm probably going to find it there. And whatever I want to sell, I'm going to find it there. That creates all those connections. But I kind of see where I'd never thought about. You could mistake that for being a radial network. I wouldn't characterize it that way because any buyer can interact with. That's the best way to describe it. Any buyer on eBay can interact with any seller, right? And depending on what they want to buy or sell, that transaction could occur. Whereas, although I can send money from Bangladesh to Mexico City, to go back to that example, there's no reason to, right? I mean, you don't have people immigrating, and immigrants are one of the biggest users of the Western Union network to send money back home, remittances, right? You just don't have people who move from Mexico City to Bangladesh or vice versa. There may be a huge Mexican population in Bangladesh. I don't know. I don't think there is. But that was a cool way of thinking about it. Yeah.
Thank you. So I have one question, Pat. I'm always very curious about when, just from a learning perspective, what would you say have some of, looking back 10 years, what have been some of your, prominent mistakes and sort of what you've learned from them?
Yeah, no, thank you. That's a good one. Thank you for forcing me to air my dirty laundry, Saurabh. Appreciate that.
It'll go on YouTube.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Yes, hello YouTube. How are you? No, seriously. No, it's a very good question, and I would say that I've gotten that operating leverage thing right a couple of times. I've missed it more times than I should have. So that's one that annoys me when I think about it. Is that thinking carefully about operating leverage, thinking carefully about network effects and runways. I've done okay at that, but not as well as I should have. There's some pitches I missed that would have been home runs, I think. The bigger one, though, is probably management. I've definitely, as I've done more work on businesses that are not mega caps, they're smaller, because management can have a bigger effect on a smaller business. Just easier to drive a sports car versus a Mack truck. And as I've done more work on what I would call capital allocator business models, like Brookfield Asset Management or Onyx in Toronto or Roper or PSG in South Africa, which we own, I've gained a much greater appreciation for what the truly exceptional managers can do. And I think that some of this also came from kind of as I reflect on it, I think some of this came from kind of a reaction to the kind of 1990s hero CEO thing, where, John Chambers was God, Howard Schultz at Starbucks was God, and this sort of cult of the hero CEO that we've developed especially the U.S., where, pretty much every CEO in the U.S. is vastly overpaid for the value they deliver. And option expensing, you remember, was a huge battle. And so I think some of that management doesn't matter as much. Some of it was probably just a kind of a knee-jerk reaction to a lot of that. It's probably fair to say. But with time, hopefully I've kind of, the knee's not jerking as much. And I guess I've just developed a better appreciation for what the truly exceptional manager can do. And again, I do want to emphasize truly exceptional. And you are not truly exceptional because you're on the cover of Forbes or Fortune. You are not truly exceptional because you have a giant pay package. You are truly exceptional because you are passionate about your business and you understand how to allocate capital. That's what makes an exceptional manager. But I would say that's something I wish I had appreciated earlier in my investing career, but something we're working hard to correct right now. I mean, in our current portfolio of 14 companies, 5 are of what I would call this capital allocator model.
Awesome. Thanks. Actually, that brought to mind one of the books, The Outsiders.
Great book.
Yeah, about capital allocation.
Yeah, Outsiders is a great. If you haven't read The Outsiders, it's an awesome book on management. Will Thorndike wrote it. Yeah, no, definitely that'd be in a top 10 past couple of years book.
So while we're talking about emerging moats, and like good capital allocators, one example that you brought up is Danaher.
Yep.
The Ralphs brothers, they have a Colfax, which right now is in the news quite a bit because they sell to oil and gas quite a bit.
Yep.
And this is one of kind of an emerging moat where we don't really see it in the numbers yet.
Yep.
Would you have any thoughts that you would like to share with us?
Yeah, no. I mean, one is don't bet against the Ralphs brothers. That's a low odds bet. No, Colfax is getting interesting. I mean, we need to ramp up our work on it right now because we sort of have a list of great businesses that sell into oil and gas that are kind of just gotten whacked lately. I have not followed Colfax too closely. I mean, we owned it after the Charter acquisition when they basically bought a company 3-4 times their size and created enormous value almost overnight with what they did with that business. I think I would say the Rails are amazing managers, and it's very fertile ground for more research and more work. What I would say, the Colfax model currently is buy solid businesses and make them much better businesses via lean manufacturing techniques for the most part. The Danaher, the Colfax business system. It's different than, say, like a Roper or a PSG, both businesses we do own, which tend to own great businesses that they want to make even better via additional investment or better capital allocation. So, but the Ralphs brothers are tough ones to bet against.
The hard part is when you are kind of watching it as it stands as a snapshot today, is do these underlying businesses really have any kind of moat or not?
Yeah.
And since there's no numerical evidence, it's hard. How do you actually go out and do independent research and say, yes, these businesses actually have a moat now that they're under Colfax? Yeah,
so there's a couple things to look at there. One is looking carefully at the end markets there, I think, because you're looking for what the numbers could become, not what they are today. And so there you want to almost get in the customer's head, right? And say, why does a customer buy a pump from Danaher? Why does it buy a fan from Howden? Why does it buy welding equipment from ESAB? And then get in the customer's head and then see what their behavior is. And maybe there's reasons why they're sticky. I don't know. That would be a way to kind of go down that path. But then also, and this kind of goes back to the one slide about the truly amazing managers, operational excellence can become strategic advantage. Rarely. But in the hands of, like an ITW would be a good example, in the hands of a truly, 4 standard deviation manager, operational excellence, the Danaher business system back at Danaher, can become strategic advantage because you do everything so much more efficiently than everybody else. You manage to eke out an economic moat out of that. Not common, not something I would, try to have a whole portfolio of those because they're pretty tough to find. But I would say that the track record of the Ralphs brothers is good enough that if anyone can turn operational excellence into strategic advantage, they would be on the pretty short list.
All right. Thanks, Pat. With that, thank you very much for
Thanks,
such
Rob.
an enlightening
This has been fun.
Awesome. Thanks.
This has been fun.